in an ideal world, the reason why we're teaching what we're teaching is so students can transfer that knowledge or those skills to something else. But in this case, they're actually like being junior psychologists, right? So it puts them in the role of a psychological researcher.
I was a student at Sandberg myself, and I remember my teacher, Jim Mattia, doing psych fair for him and just absolutely loving it, and that kind of spurred my interest in psychology. I got my degrees in psychology, and then coming back, it was one of the first things I'm like, we need to make sure we do this. It was so much fun. I want to do it with my own students.
Psych fair is a group-based project that students work on where they're really applying all of the research skills that they learned. They come up with their own hypothesis, they develop their study and try to think of all the confounding variables that they could try to control, and then they have the opportunity to develop that experiment over the course of a few weeks before actually implementing it.
A big part of it, again, is just getting out of the classroom and doing this hands-on part of it and not just listening to lectures. We're not just about chalkboards anymore.
I am more of like a visual / creative, like hands-on learner, so I definitely preferred the project aspect of it because it's more like you're creating something of your own to help you understand psychology.
It's not something that you learn by reading an article in class. You learn it by going through it.
Parent night the night before the daytime psychology fair, and inviting the community to come see what we do in the classroom.
Parents and family members get to come through and be the participants in the experiments, and then the next day we spend the whole day in the PAC foyer with all these different students and classes coming down to also run through the experiments.
It's cool to see a finished process. A lot of what we do as teachers, we don't see the end game necessarily. We're dealing with small incremental periods of growth, and this in a like a 2.5 week time period, you're seeing kids who knew nothing about research or statistics going from an idea to a finished concept to here's my research and here's what I found.
It wasn't even just like psychology itself concept that we learned. We learned a lot about the experimental process, especially during the psych fair. We learned about confounding variables in class, and it was easy to understand the concept of it. A confounding variable is something that you can't control affecting the effectiveness of your experiment. So I think seeing that and having that happen and like the disappointment of like, oh, well, our experiment doesn't work as well now because this person came through and distracted somebody who was supposed to be focused. I think that is something that we learned that we wouldn't have learned just sitting in a classroom.
A big part of the learning process is you actually doing it yourself. So being able to have that hands-on opportunity to actually learn something and you're controlling the procedure, you're making the whole write-up, you're finding the results, you're actually learning how to do these things.
I think just participation and like being able to be hands-on and working with others. I think that just taught me collaboration a lot.
Being in an environment when you have like supportive people around you and like being able to collaborate and spread your ideas and then like bring them to life, it's a cool experience for sure.
I agree. I think the most rewarding part is just feeling accomplished at the end of the day. Just an amazing feeling.
I plan to pursue a career in psychology and specifically want to go deeper into psychiatry. And this experiment has allowed me to gain some experience with research, and that's something that's really important.
The psych fair was definitely like really pushed me to do psych because I love projects and I just thought that was really cool. You learn how to like actually think like a psychologist and think like someone running an experiment and create one of your own and find something that is interesting to you.
For us to be able to actually see it come to light, because when we're studying these concepts in class, right, we're just hearing about these hypothetical situations, but being able to actually create the scenario on our own and see it really being brought to life is something that is just like a crazy experience, and I think it's something that really solidified our understanding.